to review the culture at Fort Hood. Secretary McPherson, with the help of the League of United Latin American Citizens and some members of Congress, selected a diverse and highly experienced panel to determine whether the command climate and culture at Fort Hood and the surrounding military community reflected the Army's values, including safety, respect, inclusiveness, and a commitment to diversity in workplaces and communities free from sexual harassment and sexual assault. The panel, led by Chris Swecker, also included Jonathan Harmon, Carrie Ricci, Keta Rodriguez, and Jack White. You'll have an opportunity to speak with them shortly, and we will make their report available to the public. Over the course of 103 days, the panel surveyed 31,612 soldiers, interviewed 647 soldiers, and met with civic and elected leaders, local law enforcement leaders, and the local district attorneys. On November 9, the panel briefed the Army senior leaders and provided 9 findings and 70 recommendations. The findings of the committee identified major flaws with sexual harassment and assault response prevention program from implementation, reporting, and adjudication. Fundamental issues with Fort Hood Criminal Investigation Command field office activities that led to unaddressed problems on Fort Hood. And finally, a command climate at Fort Hood that was permissive of sexual harassment and sexual assault. Further, the committee made 70 recommendations to improve the following areas: overall sharp program structure, Fort Hood Criminal Investigation Field Office Command activities, Army missing soldier protocols, Fort Hood crime prevention and response activities, Army-wide command climate issues, and Fort Hood public affairs activities. The tragic death of Vanessa Guillen and a rash of other challenges at Fort Hood forced us to take a critical look at our systems, our policies, and ourselves. But without leadership, systems don't matter. This is not about metrics, but about possessing the ability to have the human decency to show compassion for our teammates and to look out for the best interests of our soldiers. This report, without a doubt, will cause the Army to change our culture. I have decided to accept all these findings in whole. In response, we have created the People First Task Force to map out a plan to tackle them. We have formed a mechanism to ensure we have the right systems and resources while focusing on commitment over compliance. While the independent review focused on the command climate and culture at Fort Hood, the findings contained in the committee's report impact the entire Army of more than 1 million soldiers, 247,000 civilians, and their families. The People First Task Force will analyze the findings and 70 recommendations in the report, develop a plan to address the issues identified by the committee, and reevaluate current policy and programs. The Army will begin implementation by March 2021. The task force chairs are Ms. Diane Randon, Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff, G2, Lieutenant General Gary Brito, the Army G1, and Sergeant Major Julie Guerra, Army G2. I have also signed a new missing soldier policy. The policy will assist in tracking and finding missing soldiers. It clarifies expectations and responsibilities of unit commanders and law enforcement authorities, focusing on the first 48 hours a soldier is missing. It creates new processes for soldiers reporting to duty status and casualty status, for supporting missing soldiers' families, and aids in identifying whether the absence is voluntary before calling it absent without leave. And finally, we need the right leadership. I've determined the issues at Fort Hood are directly related to leadership failures. Leaders drive culture and are responsible for everything the unit does or does not happen to do. I am gravely disappointed that leaders failed to effectively create a climate that treated all soldiers with dignity and respect, and that failed to reinforce everyone's obligation to prevent and properly respond to allegations of sexual harassment and sexual assault. Because of this, to restore trust and confidence and accountability, I directed the relief and/or suspension of commanders and other leaders from the Corps to the squad level. I have directed the relief of the 3 Corps Deputy Commanding General for support, the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment Command Team, and suspended the 1st Cavalry Division Command Team, pending the results of a new investigation into the command climate of the division. In total, 14 leaders have been relieved or suspended from their positions. In addition, we are directing an investigation regarding Criminal Investigation Command resourcing policies and procedures. Accountability and transparency are foundational as we move forward. We have a great deal of work ahead of us. This is an initial step to addressing and fixing these issues. Even though we are part of one of the most respected institutions in the world, living up to the American people's trust is something we have to do every day. I believe in this institution and its officers, non-commissioned officers, soldiers, civilians, and their families with every fiber of my being because of the extraordinary things they do on a daily basis. I'm confident in our leaders' ability to overcome this challenge and to continue to win our nation's wars while caring for our people. General McConville.
Well, good afternoon. We appreciate the work of the Fort Hood Independent Review Committee and the feedback that this report has given us. We own the results. And, you know, we've asked a lot of the Army and of Fort Hood over the last 19 years during continuous deployments to combat. And we know in the Army that we are not perfect. But what makes us the greatest Army in the world is that we recognize where we must change. We acknowledge our issues and we fix them. Prior to coming here, I talked to Mrs. Guillen, Vanessa's mother. And I told her that we're going to fix these issues and change the culture that allowed them to happen. I told her we must and will provide a safe and secure environment for American sons and daughters that serve in the Army. As the Secretary said, we are holding leaders accountable, and we will fix this. Tomorrow, we are briefing the Army senior leaders on this report, and we will ensure it is understood, and our plan to move forward will be implemented throughout the Army. We have been trusted to lead the world's greatest soldiers. It is our sacred duty to protect our soldiers so we can defend our nation. That is what we do. Thank you.
Leader Baldor, first question.
First question is, can you address just more broadly why it sounds as though General White is not included among those touched by the administrative actions? Why not? And then also, how widespread do you believe these problems are beyond Fort Hood? Because you seem to suggest that 19 years of war on this and maybe one of the causational factors. Is that what you are saying?
Leader, it's Ryan McCarthy. With respect to General White, he was deployed for 13 months. In our standard practice, I'd like General McConville to comment as well, but General White was deployed for 13 months. Our standard practice is that we delegate a senior mission commander to take the role of running the garrison activities. So in this case, it had been a standard practice that we've used for, I think, over a decade in the formation. With respect to the comments that we both made related to we are concerned that there could be other systemic challenges across the formation, and that's why, to the chief's point, we're going to utilize this report as a means to look at systems and programs and also leadership approaches to how we address these difficult issues. Chief, anything you want to add?
Just on General White, I think it's really important. He did a fabulous job in Iraq over the last 13 days, and leadership is about presence. And when you're in Iraq for 13 months, that's why we appoint a general officer to be the senior commander. And as far as other issues, we're about excellence. I said we're not perfect, but we strive for excellence. We need to take a hard look at ourselves. That's why we're the best Army in the world, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to take these results. We're going to make sure that every single leader sees these results. Some will say we reflect society. I don't want to reflect society in these type of issues. I want to make sure that we have a environment where everyone is treated with dignity and respect and everyone takes care of each other, and we expect our leaders to do that, and that's what we're going to do.
And we have time for one final question in the room. Louis Martinez.
Mr. Secretary General, you talked about how this is going to change the Army, but why did it take a review panel and why did it take Vanessa Guillen's disappearance and murder for you to look inward at these programs that obviously now, in retrospect, look like they've failed massively?
I think the level, the caliber of work that was provided in this independent review panel brought a fresh look and helped us look at a lot of challenges that we have had that are potentially systemic, but some of them were also within the leadership. So I think the fresh eyes and having some other support has helped us in this process. Chief or SMA, anything you want to add?
If I could follow up, sir? Yeah. Yes, this is leadership with regards to this issue, but it sounds like the report says that SHARP is structurally not working, and that is an Army-wide program, so then why can't you say that the program itself needed complete restructuring, or why wasn't it updated regularly so that you could see that there were issues at hand?
Really, this body of work has identified things that we had not seen previously. That's why we have accepted all of the findings in whole. I previously have seen independent panels that have looked at the mishandling of nuclear weapons, or Walter Reed. A lot of great reporting, quite frankly, as well as outside fresh perspective, help us look at ourselves and see challenges that we didn't see. And you'll have them come out here in a minute, but they helped us. And that's going to help us with the institution so we can get better across the board.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. The Secretary does not have much time. There's a press release that's should be in your inbox now. So the Fort Hood Independent Review Panel will be out. We're going to switch, bring out the new panel, and they'll be here to take your questions. Thank you very much.
Kathy, the press release has all the names on it?
It has the names of the releasable brigade and above.
How many is that? That's not all 14?
Those are the names that he listed.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Chamberlain from Army Public Affairs. Today you'll hear from the members of the Fort Hood